The 2020 garden is in. Hey guys, we've been busy and finally this garden is in. I want to take you around and show you what we're planting in this year's garden and how it's doing so far because it's kind of late. This is probably the latest that I have ever had this thing just about finished, but regardless, here it is. Let's see what's in there. So this little area has my little makeshift raised beds. And here are all my lettuces, and I have been harvesting out of this, having fresh salad finally. There are my onions, and I've got some more onions in the back that I'll show you, but they're coming along well with all the rain we've had. Some more lettuce. The chickens have destroyed. I've got some poultry netting over the top, but they can stand on it and then eat that lettuce, but it's my daughter's and she doesn't seem to care, so that's fine. Here are carrots, and look at that. Got radishes ready to go already. Look how pretty those greens are. And then beets on the end that need a little weeding help. This area here is my broccoli. Unfortunately, I found some more chicken damage. I actually caught the chicken in the act. I didn't know that they would mess with my broccoli when I took the fence down. So today I'm gonna have to get more fence and just plan on fencing this in to keep the chickens out. These are my cucumbers over here, and I've got a few growing along that fenced area right there. And this is all the tomatoes, and I planted too many tomatoes this year. But can you really have too many tomatoes? I don't know. So I have all different kinds of tomatoes in there. These are my Romas up front, and a couple rows of those. And then I have, somehow all the sticks fell out. I don't know how that happens. But I mean, I've got like something called German Queen. I've got my Cherokee Purples. I have, what all do I have in there? I've got Brandywine. I've got Rutgers. I've got Parks Whopper. I just found tomatoes, like all different kinds of cool tomatoes, and put them in there. And I have a few different methods going. We're going to try this Florida weave deal, and it's about time to start doing that. And then I also have these big furring strips that we're going to try to stake them up and see how that works. And my favorites are cherry tomatoes. So I have several of those. And I'm hoping that kind of tying them up might help with harvesting a little bit. They get such a mess in those cages. Now the way I've set my garden up the last couple years is to have the perennial things along the edge. So there's my horseradish and some catnip, which will grow out of control. My little mint pots, but here are my strawberries. And I really put strawberries in like the last 2 years. And I'm happy to report that we should have strawberries here coming up soon. And so along the edges, I have just these raised beds and a cat. And then all my flowers are down on that end. And then my berries, raspberries and asparagus, are along the edges of the garden. So the inside is where I put everything else. And this is my broccoli. Like I said again, some of you may have followed my broccoli dilemma, but finally I have broccoli and now the chickens are eating it. So we'll see what this year holds as far as broccoli goes. And this is my nice greens and lettuce bed. Got a lot in there. So this is what I will use to make salads out of, but I'll also freeze a lot of this to do my frozen greens for next year, for the winter. Got tons of Swiss chard. I did a whole lot of it this year, and I'm gonna use that a lot more in my salads. I love that stuff. Here are potatoes, my little potato patch. And they're doing really well after being destroyed after that freeze frost that we had that I didn't cover them up, but they rebounded well. So if you lose your potatoes because of a frost, don't worry, they'll come right back up. And there's a couple different varieties. There's 2 varieties of reds, and then 2, like Yukon Gold is in here, and I think Kennebec is the other. Okay, this is the 3rd year for some of our asparagus and the 2nd year for some of the other asparagus. So we've been harvesting some, and now I'm just letting it go to fern or whatever you want to call that, and we will weed that really well, fertilize that really well, and try to let it grow again and then keep going every year. These are triple crown blackberry, and they did really well last year, and I see they're have a couple buds on there. Love those, they're delicious. And then these are just my plain raspberries. And I'm getting close to raspberries actually. Okay, this is my flower bed. It's still a little bit of a work in progress. And I should mention with all of this garden, it has some mulch down, but we have not finished mulching. And what I do is get all of the stuff out of the chicken run, which has all the leaves from last year, and then we scoop bedding out there, and they just kind of work through that. And that all goes in the walkways. I don't put it around the plants, but it just goes in the walkways to help keep the weeds down, and then adds a little bit of fertilizer value to the soil. So these are my flowers and a maple tree. And I've got lots in here. Some of these are perennials, but some of them are just flowers that I picked up that I like. And as this grows, it gets really, really pretty. And then the idea is that I would cut flowers and keep them on the table. It doesn't always work that way, but it looks pretty outside. So this is my little herb section. And I've got lots of oreganos, which I cut way back this year. These two piles there, they were like twice as big. So I cut them way back this year. Have some sage that came back, and there's some rosemary that I planted. Stevia plant, got parsley out there, and some lemon verbena. Said the basil, right? I did plant borage. It looks like it's been covered up, but it's down here. There's a little plant. I don't know how that'll do from seed. So this is my little herb area and my flower part. And you'll see it as the season goes, how pretty it gets. And then this is our little orchard area. And we have 3 apple trees, 2 peach trees, 2 pear trees, and also 2 cherry trees up front, along with 9 blueberry bushes. So we have a lot of baby peaches on this tree. They're doing well. And one of the trees has some pears on it. It's doing well. This tree here is a honey crisp. I'll be honest, it doesn't do well. The apples just kind of rot off even when we spray. Have any apple experts out there that want to tell me? I see a bug on there right now. We just sprayed. They get holes in them. And then over here is a Jonathan apple. This one does better for us. There's a couple on there, but it had a ton of fruit last year. Not a whole lot this year, but that's okay. And then over here I have just a little, it's called a Bray Star. And I don't know that it had any fruit this year. It doesn't have any fruit this year. That cold snap kind of did it in, but that's okay. It could use another year to grow first. And here is one row of blueberry plants, and then Steve's goji berry back there. And some of these are older and they do have some blossoms, so we had to get a few blueberries, not very many. And these 2 front ones are sweet cherry trees. And here is my other row of 4 blueberry plants up front. And they're still young. I just planted them last year. And here's what this whole area looks like from out front. So I have my little fruit trees and garden. Who says you can't grow a lot of your own food on 1 acre? And for whatever reason, I never think that just one garden is enough. So I also have a back garden. So let's go see what's in that one. Here's the back garden. And this one was traditionally a really big second garden, but I let it grass over one year, a couple years ago, and then decided I needed it back. So it's back. And what I usually do back here are sunflowers and my squashes and more of the vining plants that need more room, so they're out of the way of the other things. So that's what's back here this year. We just put some of the old straw down to kind of mulch a little bit. So I have a tiny front part that's my little second garden. I've got some green beans back here that actually did come up, and then some cucumbers, and trying to grow some peppers. You probably can't even see them in there. There's some that I started from seed, but something keeps eating them, which I knew would be a problem back here. And there's another planting of onions. Here was a very beautiful big pepper plant, and look what's left of it. Something just came and ate it. All right, and I have lots of tomatoes back here, and these are in cages. So we're gonna do the last prong of that tomato growing experiment to see what works the best. And here are some squash. A hill that nothing came up. There's another pumpkin plant. And some more pumpkins back here. And then these are my zucchini and summer squash plants. And they're kind of interspersed with some wild growing sunflowers that I just kind of let come up. And then back here I have zinnias planted and some sunflowers that we may have to replant. They're not up yet, but this is going to be really pretty once it grows. This year I'm trying watermelon. I put that back here. Watermelons don't usually work here. I've not had success, but we'll see. I'll try again, maybe put a little more effort into it. And I have cantaloupe in my front garden. I forgot to mention that. And then along the side here, I have some pretty sunflowers, the smaller ones that the chickens knock this mulch on top of. Along here, I have some pretty smaller decorative sunflowers. And there it is. I hope we have a great gardening year this year, even though I'm in a little bit late. I'd love to hear what you guys are growing. I am way behind on watching videos just with a lot of stuff going on. I've been super busy, but tell me what you're growing and how your garden is doing this year. And if you're trying anything new this year too, like my watermelon. Well, thanks so much for watching, guys. I will catch you the next time. Here's the little guy. We haven't seen a lot of him because I've been outside. He's 1 year old now. He just had his approximate birthday.